now going to flip the script a little bit because we've been speaking about, do we even have a rising demand? And the next panel is actually going to speak about how we do have a rising demand, but as a continent, are we growing fast enough to actually help that demand and to services? Africa's hospitality boom. I love that word, boom. Please help me welcome on stage our moderator, Ninon Lamothe.
Can you hear me well? Yes. So my name is Ninon Lamothe. I will be moderating this discussion today. I work at Voltere by Egis, tourism and hospitality consulting specialist. So please let me welcome on stage our dear panelists, Bani Haddad, founder and managing director of Aleph Hospitality. Esteban Lozada, managing director, development, North and West Africa at Hilton. Wytze Berg, Vice President EMEA at BWH Hotels. And last but not least, Artur Gerber, CEO of Chewy Blue Hotels and Resorts. Please give them a warm applause. Thank you, gentlemen, to be here. So let me please rephrase first our topic. Africa's hospitality boom is the sector growing fast enough to meet rising demand. So in other words, can we build fast enough and well enough to keep up with how quickly demand is rising across the continent, not just in terms of quantity, but also in terms of quality, sustainability, and relevance to market needs. At the heart of this question is the balance between supply and demand and when the two actually meet. And one big question we often ask is, does demand create supply, or is it the way around? And there's no single rule, and it's better to do the homework of a proper market study before entering a market, because the answer is not always the same. It depends on the context, on the market, and on the product. For example, in leisure tourism, for example, with strong brands or unique concept resorts, the supply can actually create demand. But in other markets, mainly urban markets, business travel, this is economic growth, business activity, and regional mobility that creates a demand, and then the hospitality sector must catch up with it. Across many African markets today, demand is rising fast. We've seen it in the figures this morning. In key cities, demand is back to or above pre-COVID level, but it's not always true for occupancy rates because supply has increased in the meantime. So, Wytze, let me turn to you for this first question. Do we all agree with the underlying assumption of this panel that there is too much demand compared to the supply in all African markets?
Well, first of all, there's a lot of demand in Africa. I'm not sure if it is too much, but we've also heard earlier today that adding supply or adding inventory is not easy, as in many other places of the world. What we also know is that, today there's about 1.5 billion people living in Africa. There are going to be another billion in the next 25 years. So in 2050, it's expected that the population of the continent is about 2.5 billion, which means that 30% of the population of the planet, of our Earth, will live in Africa. It's a no-brainer that, a crowd of such a growth also needs more hotels. So I think what we see is that there's absolutely a need for more supply. We are looking somewhat to alternative methods and methodologies to find that, because we know the traditional way has been very difficult. We've heard all the presentations about the pipeline and what is being realized. What we have seen as BWH, for those who don't know our brand, we've been born 80 years ago as Best Western. We have evolved. We have over 4,500 franchise hotels across the globe, many of them being in the mid-scale and upper mid-scale. But we see in a lot of cities in Africa, on the continent, that a lot of the, call it, legacy hotels, or hotels who have been there for a while, have found new owners, have found new money, have found new investment, and they're redeveloping their assets. into modern 3-star, 4-star hotels, which goes much quicker than the traditional greenfield projects. So that is why where we are focusing in many areas in West Africa and in East Africa. And then on top of that, we also have more luxurious brands like World Hotels where we do all the greenfields. But in order to ramp it up, we are looking at conversions from probably not the typical investors in hotel business, but people who had a hotel and are modernizing that hotel.
I see. Bani, what's your take about this assumption that there is too much demand compared to supply?
It's a great assumption to start with, but again, Africa is a massive continent, and not only from a population, but from a number of countries, and that automatically means quite a diversified landscape. There are cities where supply is not coping with demand, and there are cities where it's the opposite. We've seen it earlier with the performances presented by STR. There's a big gap between the various cities across the continent. The question is, how are we, operators, brands, advising potential investors in having the right product in the right city, targeting the right audience? So building another luxury hotel in Nairobi now, or upscale hotel in Nairobi, probably doesn't make sense anymore. Having a long-term, long-stay product, a mid-scale, would make much more sense. A lifestyle, we're not seeing enough lifestyle hotels. We just announced earlier this morning our deal with Onomo, which is the only proper lifestyle kind of African hotel. There's a massive market for these type of products across the continent. Quality resorts in certain markets, like Kenya, like Zanzibar, there's still room for that and demand for that. But other markets, like take Lagos, I'm not sure sure. Looking at the numbers, when you see the numbers, the demand is not there for additional supply.
So it really depends on the context and on the product. So you touched the audience subject, Esteban. How would you qualify or what are the characteristics and expectations of this growing demand in Africa in the latest years and the upcoming years, and what types of products are more in demand?
So just to touch into the growing demand, we see a huge potential in Africa. We are aiming to triple our presence here, opening around 100 hotels in the coming years and creating 18,000 jobs. When discussing the demand generators of the increasing demand, we need to split it in between international and domestic regarding the characteristics of the demand. On the international front, obviously, we have some authentic and fantastic experiences on the leisure bit in Africa, some fantastic sites. We have also some key strategic business cities, business hubs. And finally, we do have some ambitious tourism policies driven by some governments. We heard about the Ministry of Tourism in South Africa a couple of months ago, speaking about the Cape Winelands airport coming and hoping to bring 50% more of arrivals on the coming 5 to 10 years, bringing 8.8 to 10 points of the GDP of the country. We heard as well in Angola that earlier this year that 100 plus countries will have a visa entry free. And we heard that in Ghana, for instance, we have any African citizens will have a visa-free entry as well. So that's on the international. On the domestic, the characteristics are driven by two other segments, so two other matters. One is the growth of the younger population. So 60% of the population today in Africa is under 25 years old. In 10 years' time, we're expecting to have more people entering the workforce in Africa than on the rest of the world combined. That will bring more purchasing power to the African households.
Yeah.
The second bit is the growth of the middle class in Africa. We're expecting in 5 years 40% increase. And again, that leads into the demand on the touristic sector. And coming to the second bit of your question, what type of products? Again, let's split it in between business and leisure. If we see business, from our perspective, we see that our core brands, Hilton Garden Inn, and DoubleTree, well, they were on the top 3 of the 4 largest pipeline brands. On the leisure bit, we see for Africa the collection brands and the lifestyle brands. We want to feel and we want to experience that African experience. We have opened a couple of curious hotels in Lagos or in the Kwetu in Nairobi that are just fantastic examples, or a Canopy by Hilton in Seychelles that are just fantastic. So
Okay.
that's what we see in the market.
So brilliant perspectives for Hilton. Artur, what about TUI Blue? What's your perspective on the demand?
Yeah, first of all, not only considering TUI Blue, also talking about other brands of TUI. We have a long presence in Africa. Maybe it's not known to everybody. So including our joint venture partners' hotels in Africa, we actually have more than 90 hotels already in Africa in total, which is, I think, a big number. We have a long history there, especially when it comes to Egypt, to Morocco, to Tunisia, where we have been present already 40, 50 years ago. And I think in TUI and also TUI Blue, we have a clear commitment regarding Africa. The colleagues already mentioned that the growth, the potential of the country for the future, population is growing, middle class is growing. So we see a big demand for international guests and holidaymakers for Africa. So we have a strong presence already in Tanzania and Zanzibar with a couple of hotels. So there we have plans to add more. So, we are not only a tour operator, we are not only a hotel operator, we are also hotel owner partly. So we still have a lot of assets owned by TUI. So at the moment we build a Robinson Club in Zanzibar. So we look for other opportunities there. We have a strong look into other African destinations, Tanzania, West Africa. So we believe in these regions, and we have a couple of samples. And this is our philosophy when it comes also to operate the hotels. So we don't only want to franchise, we also want to operate hotels in these destinations. We believe in building clusters. We call it internally cluster. A cluster is something where we don't have only one hotel brand of our portfolio, where we have a couple of brands. So it makes it easier at a certain point of time, maybe also to let the planes coming. So we have some samples out of the past where we did that very successfully. A sample is Cape Verde Islands. So we have had the first hotel there, I think, close to 30 years ago. And now we have, I think, 10 or 15 direct flights a day from Europe to Cape Verde. When you enter Boa Vista or Sal Airport, it's always nice to see our branded planes there. We do that in Senegal. So 2 years ago, we opened the first Rio hotel, and now we have our own flights from Brussels and also from Düsseldorf, Germany going to Senegal. So there are many samples where we see this kind of development, and there we are able to use our ecosystem, we call it ecosystem, with all the things we can contribute to the countries. And as mentioned by the colleagues, you can imagine that we have quite often also discussions with ministers of tourism around the world. Luckily, most of the countries in Africa, they know about TUI, which makes us at least, we have always the opportunity to enter also governmental discussions about programs to develop the country. And we are more than happy to contribute as much as possible. And I personally also strongly believe into Africa. If we see the people standing here and singing and celebrating something. So this is also, I think, the beauty of Africa when it comes to guest experience. So if you ask the guests after the stay, what did you discover in this country? I think it's not only the weather and the food. They say the people are so friendly, we feel welcome, hospitality is nice. So this might be a difference, at least from my experience, maybe to some European countries at the moment, where it's not that easy to please customers, to make them happy the day round, because you still have a lack of stuff. So this is something which here is a bit not easier. I frequent in these regions as well. I'm also frequent in Asia, also frequent in Europe. But I always try to see the differences and what is the strength of this country and these kind of things. From my perspective, it's really a strength which we have to work with, People love it. After a couple of days, they calm down, relax,
Yes.
and enjoy all the friendly people around us. And this makes us very positive for the future development of Africa.
Okay, so very optimistic
Yes,
vision
yes.
and hospitality at the core of the value proposition of Africa.
Yeah.
Bani, let me turn to you. What are the challenges, the main challenges to develop supply in Africa, and how can those challenges be overcome?
I think three main challenges. Some of them were mentioned on the panels earlier. One is access to capital. Definitely, it is in most of the cases quite difficult yet to finance hotels. Two, once you have the capital secured, getting the hotels to open is extremely challenging, and this is due, from our experience, primarily to a lack of planning. And when I say lack of planning, it is the resistance to employ professional teams from the onset, proper project managers, strong project managers who can drive the entire process, keep timelines. It's a little bit tactical, but the reality is this, and this is what we face in most of our hotels under development, this lack of professionalism to get the project through the right architects, designers, etc. And then finally, what is a little bit challenging is, in terms of getting the new supply, is the resources. Many countries have quite strict and difficult rules or the non-availability of local resources, whether it's cement, steel, etc., and it can take a long time to get these sorted out.
Okay, thank you. So raising capital, professionalism in development, and access to resources. Artur, do you have other challenges that you may want to highlight?
Yes, I mean, on top, I can totally agree to what you mentioned. We face the same issues, sure. Supply of goods is an issue when it comes to construction, so you have to make sure that the quality is always there. Cost increase, yes, we face that around the world. But at the end, we also try then to install sustainability measures as much as possible, which does not make it easier. This is also at the beginning some more investment, but on the long or midterm run, it pays back. From the financial side, on the other side, we want to do that also for environmental issues. You need to do that, so it does not make it so easy. Then we have, in certain regions, you have to look how you supply your energy, look that you have a stable energy supply, which you need to have if you run a nice resort or a nice city hotel somewhere, which is not that easy, as we all know. So all these kinds of measures you have to take in consideration. And also you need professional teams, also knowing the local circumstances and the local infrastructure, and also the international parts to play that in a good way. And then at the end, okay, if you start to operate, you have to make sure that you have the right people to operate your hotel and to train them. Now, for us, it's a new chapter after entering the Zanzibar market a couple of years ago. Now we start also to exchange some staff programs around our systems. We operate hotels in, I think, close to 30 countries. So we bring the first Western people to Zanzibar. We bring the first Zanzibar people for a couple of weeks and months to other destinations to start to exchange some knowledge, which is done by, I think, everybody else as well. But for us, it was quite new because we haven't been present there a couple of years ago. So we enter these new markets. And all these kind of things together must be considered. Otherwise, you have a big issue at the end of the day. And it always sounds so easy, just open a hotel and make it happen, it runs. What is so complicated to operate a hotel? But everybody is operating hotels knows exactly what I'm talking about. And this is the challenges. But I always say this is not only challenges we have in Africa. So we build hotels not only in this part of the world, also other parts of the world, and you face some similar problems. Sure. And if you build today, I have to say that as a German, if you build today a hotel in Germany, we hear about the timelines here from start to project realization 6 years. Yeah, I mean, in Germany, I would always say it's impossible to build a hotel from planning to opening less than 4 or 5 years. So this takes also a lot of time in a developed country. So it's not only this part of the world where it's challenging, but at the end, I think we know about the challenges. Sometimes you get some new ones, but I think it's always hard to overcome that all. But at the end, it's worth to do it, and therefore we still want to do it.
So again, an optimistic vision for the development. Wytze, continuing on the optimistic side, for you, what are the opportunities? Which markets are the most promising, where demand is rapidly growing and where operators are positioning themselves?
It's basically two things, right? We have about 30 hotels live and about another 10 signed in our pipeline. But like I said before, the expanding cities are for us, that is where we focus on corporate, mid-scale, upper mid-scale hotels, or more traditional brands. And we look at places like, and probably if you've seen the pipeline report earlier, it's the usual suspects. It's Western Africa, Eastern Africa. Then for more lifestyle products, we are looking at safari lodges and that as well. A few years ago, we acquired World Hotels, which is an upper upscale and luxury product. We are bringing that to Africa, so we have signed the first one in Kampala, Uganda, which is a 300-room property, which is undergoing renovations today. And that is a label, that is a brand from us where we see much opportunities in the bigger cities. And the other hottest market is Egypt. We are in discussion and negotiation with a lot of projects there, and that is really diverse, if you want. So there's a lot of lifestyle products there, but also more the traditional mid-scale hospitality. And I would say those are our main markets.
All right, thank you. What about Hilton?
Going from north to south, so in north, I would say Morocco and Egypt are booming. We have at the moment, so in Africa, we have 63 trading hotels and more than 100 on the pipeline. More than 60% of those are already under construction. On Western Africa, I would say that Ivory Coast is a hot market, that Ghana is a hot market, Nigeria is a hot market, of course, but there are others that are very interesting. Benin, for instance, where 3 international branded hotels will open on the next 36 months, including a fantastic Hilton in Cotonou. On the east, I would say Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania. Again, great cities and also good projects coming there. And on the southern part of Africa, obviously South Africa, but also Angola. I think it's a super interesting country. We have just announced yesterday 3 hotels there, 3 different brands, and we're super excited about not only southern or western or eastern Africa. We are taking Africa as a whole. We're increasing our team members here. We are putting more technical team members to support our owners. We're increasing in terms of number of developers, because we see the potential is huge and we want to be able to support our owners here.
Excellent, so a land of opportunities.
Absolutely.
Just to wrap up, maybe each of you, do you have some announcement you want to make? I know, Bani, you already did the announcement this morning, but if you want to make it again.
Listen, thank you. For those who were not here, we've announced earlier this morning a takeover of 26 hotels on the continent, the Onomo branded hotels, about 3,400 keys. We're very proud. We work with a lot of other brands, including Hilton and Best Western. We have hotels with both and many others. But we're really excited about this new opportunity for us, because again, the lifestyle, mid-scale lifestyle is underserved on the continent, and we felt that Onomo really does it really well, and I personally feel, going through all these cities in Africa, the lifestyle element is born to be African. There's so much lifestyle and vibe in Africa that it cries for these type of products. The cultures across from east to west, south. So I'm super excited about this. But other than that, we continue to grow our portfolio with Hilton, with Marriott, with various different, and we also have a good portfolio of unbranded hotels. Again, it's a tailored to fit approach as far as we are concerned. We're moving into luxury as well. We already took over a couple of luxury hotels in Morocco. We're setting up a luxury division just to manage our luxury portfolio. So a lot of good things happening for us in Africa.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very, very quickly, each of you, if you want something to say, because we are running out of time for the announcement openings. Esteban?
We made an announcement yesterday, yes, plenty. Number of openings coming as well in Morocco with three hotels. We opened as well Hilton in Brazzaville last year, DoubleTree in Addis, 2 opportunities in two hotels in Seychelles. We opened 2 hotels, the Canopy in Longkloof here in Cape Town, amazing, and a Hampton in Greyston in Santon. So Egypt, plenty of things, thanks to Sam. So yeah, great things happening. And if we weren't running out of time, I could have a list of other things coming, but we'll keep it short.
So very quickly, the few I didn't mention, but who are in the pipeline, it's new territories for us. It's Seychelles and Rwanda.
Thank you. Artur?
Yeah, you read already a couple of things in the last week's announcement. When it comes to Africa, we go into to open this year and next year a couple of hotels in Egypt, Morocco, Tunisia. Gambia is coming this year, with opening late of the year. Next year we have a solid pipeline of signed projects where we are sure that they will come. Also destinations like mentioned Angola, Sao Tome, Tanzania, Kenya. So stay tuned. A lot of things are going on.
All right.
So and you hear that on the panel, everybody is positive about Africa.
Yes.
So let's take it from there.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience.
Thank you.
Thank you.